Mallory is excited because her school is having a Young Authors Day.
I want to be a writer. Correction, I'm going to be a writer.
Apparently, the 4 books she wrote before this one don't count as real books.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
This book was written by Jonna Beecham and Malcolm Hillgartner. Mallory can't wait to work on her short story, but when she gets home, the triplets are harassing Claire. Margot made a huge mess with Mom's makeup. Vanessa spaces out. The triplets get into a fight, and Nikki accidentally lets the hamster loose twice. It's basically a total disaster. Mallory is forced to take care of everything herself, because Mom is, somewhere else. We never get told where Mom is, or why she left the 11-year-old in charge without telling anyone. For all we know, she's hiding in the basement. Anyway, the point of this chapter is that Mallory's so busy she doesn't get time to do her writing. She's worried she won't have enough time to write, so she turns down a job at the next Babysitters Club meeting. The girls stare at her confused because why would you not babysit? Instead of explaining, Mallory says nothing, and she lets her friends jump to the wrong conclusion. The next day, Mallory's parents force her to watch the kids while they go to a yard sale. They also force her to cook, do laundry, serve dinner, and clean up a glass of milk that Byron spilled. Apparently, 10-year-old Byron is incapable of cleaning up his own messes. That's a problem with this book's premise, by the way. The Pike kids are old enough to do things by themselves. Most of them are in school. All of them are in school at this point. But for the sake of the narrative, we'll have to pretend they can't do anything without Mallory. The creative writing teacher gives Mallory grief because she's only written 3 paragraphs of her story. 3 paragraphs? She can't call herself a writer if she doesn't write. Mallory almost cries at this criticism. She tries making a schedule, but she's interrupted with Claire's questions, and then Mom forces her to make dinner. We're only on chapter 5. So far, this book has done the same basic Mallory gets interrupted scene 3 times. Ugh. Mallory finally makes some headway on her story, but she has to stop early to get to a Babysitters Club meeting. Christy is mean to Mallory because she was late. Again, Mallory says nothing in her own defense. Mallory turns down 2 jobs at the meeting, and all the other girls get on her case about it. How dare she do something other than babysitting? What kind of traitorous, child-hating monster would prioritize writing a story? I thought the other girls were being completely unreasonable here, but Mallory agrees with them, and she blames herself for being a failure. Mallory's failures get worse when she babysits the Barretts. The Barretts have reverted back to their Book 5 personality today, because all of the kids are monsters in this book. They make a huge mess, Buddy gets hurt, and Mallory starts to worry she's an awful babysitter. Oh, Mallory, that's not true. You've just been listening to mean jokes that I've made in my book reviews. Jessie, baby, you know what? I've poked fun at Claudia's handwriting, but Jessie's handwriting is equally hard to read. Can we just get rid of all handwriting at this point? Thank you. Jessie babysits for Margot and Claire. They complain that Mallory is a grouch who's mean to them all the time. When was Mallory mean to her sisters? In the previous chapters, she was nice to them and always helped them with their problems, even though she was busy with other stuff. Continuity! At the next club meeting, Mallory asks to be demoted to associate member. When the girls try to talk her out of it, Mallory threatens to quit. No more Mallory in the Babysitters Club! All right! Woo! Party time! This is sad and tragic. That weekend, Mallory makes a sign which reads, Mallory on strike. She loudly declares that she's not leaving her room all day, and no one is allowed to interrupt her ever. Her family agrees to go along with her temper tantrum, and she gets the whole day to herself. You know what Mallory should have done to avoid her family interruptions? She should have gone to the library and done all her work there. Simple. Easy. Should have done that at the start of the book. But that's not as dramatic as going on strike. Christy experiences what it's like to be Mallory when she babysits her family, and it's a disaster. Dawn and Marianne babysit the Pikes, and they're actually rather nice, but we are assured that they are disaster kids. So now all the other babysitters understand what Mallory's going through, and they feel bad for her. Marianne advises Mallory to talk to her parents. She does. Mom and Dad apologize for not bothering to watch their kids at all in the past month. They apologize for taking Mallory for granted. They decide to make it up to her with Mallory Pike Day, her very own holiday. She can do anything she wants, anything at all, but she has no imagination. So she wastes her holiday on a trip to the mall. And burritos. Good call on the burritos. She thinks about her brothers and sisters the whole time, and she realizes she was kind of a jerk to them. Even though it was totally their fault for interrupting her when she asked them not to, she decides they deserve their own holiday for being great people. So she gives them a fun day filled with a puppet show and a scavenger hunt. A real-life author comes to Young Authors Day, which is kind of awkward because 3 authors just visited the school in book 46. Continuity! Mallory's story wins first place! Hooray! She rejoins the Babysitters Club, and everyone acts relieved, like they legitimately thought she would leave the series forever. The end. Post-book follow-up. There have been several books where it looks like the Babysitters Club might be disbanded. A similar plotline is when it looks like the narrator will be forced to leave the club. This happened with Claudia, Stacy, Marianne, Claudia, Dawn, Claudia, Jessie, and Claudia. Wow, they keep trying to get rid of Claudia. Well, Mallory and Chrissy are the only ones who haven't had leaving the Babysitters Club drama. And since Chrissy will never quit the club ever, this book is Mallory's turn to have a fake quitting drama. She has to leave the club now because her family is acting no different from normal. Yeah, how exactly was her family different from normal? We're told they've gotten worse lately, but I literally cannot tell the difference. Similarly, the end of the book tells us that things will get better, but we also got told Mallory's I Hate Being 11 issues were resolved at the end of book 21, and that was a lie. I fully expect her family to be just as wild and crazy in the next book as they were here. This book storyline surprised me. The first time I read it, we were clearly setting up for a Mallory is mad at her family storyline, but partway through it switches to Mallory is mad at herself, and it also switches to the other girls realize how hard Mallory's life is. There was a mild flirtation with Mallory is a writer subplot. I like how the book tries to have all those multiple plot lines, but the book also has 7 chapters of wild and crazy kids. That was repetitive. I think the book would have been much better if it cut back on the crazy kid stuff and built up some of those other storylines. Overall, I found the book to be subpar. It was repetitive. Mallory acted more like Marianne than Mallory, and we never actually got to see Mallory's award-winning story. The general premise of the book is good, but it needs some refinement to bring it past the level of generic story we've seen half a dozen times before in this series. I give Babysitter's Club number 47, Mallory on Strike, a 4 out of 10.